Yeah, we got to talk about this Cowboys-Steelers matchup tonight. I mean, come on.
I am so excited for football to be back.
Who isn't
in a
pumped
month.
about the fantastic Mason Rudolph
Not
versus,
4 hours from now.
I don't even know. Who the hell is Dallas' quarterback? I should look that up.
Well, it's not Andy Dalton. I can tell you that much, Ironhead, because he is part of the imposing three-headed quarterbacking monster in Chicago.
Yes, indeed.
Hi, everybody. I'm not Goon, quite obviously. He's still in the Bahamas.
In fairness, I'm not Goon either.
Yeah.
And he is still in the Bahamas.
Goonless Goon and Ironhead show.
Yes, indeed. Once again, coming to you from Quaker Steak and Lube in State College on what is really a beautiful Thursday afternoon here.
It sure is. It's awesome.
The Valley of Happiness. And a day that's been made even better by the amazing performance of David Taylor over in Tokyo. And just a few thoughts as I was watching that and just listening to some of the commentary this morning, and obviously a lot of elation in the Penn State wrestling fan base and community. And by the way, Thomas Gilman won bronze earlier in the session and wrestled just a brilliant tournament. I mean, it was a few seconds away from possibly being a gold medalist as well. Lost that first round matchup to the Russian, who ended up winning the gold medal. And hats off to Gilman. He's just a remarkable young man in his own right, and just neat to see him come back and get a medal. But with David Taylor, a few things. First of all, it is amazing when you think of the history of Penn State wrestling, and even pre-Cal. I mean, it's a pretty good history, right? I mean, a lot of really good guys, a lot of really impressive wrestlers have come through. And this is the first time in history that Penn State has had a finalist, let alone a winner.
Wow, is that right?
Yes, in the Olympic Games in freestyle wrestling.
I knew it was the first time gold medal. I didn't realize we'd never even had a finalist.
Yeah,
before.
and in fact, it's the first time that that Penn State has had an American medal. The only other medalist, and it was a young man who ended up getting bronze for Japan. It was the first. Nito was the gentleman who did it for, again, was Penn Stater, and was the first Olympian from Penn State, but earned bronze for Japan. You know, Penn State, I think, has only had 7 Olympians, 2 of which represented Japan, Nito and obviously Sonny Abe. And then, Kerry McCoy, Frank Molinaro, David Taylor here in the more recent times, along with obviously Kenny Sherto representing Penn State in the Olympic Games. Kerry McCoy, of course, the only 2-time Olympian for Penn State. But when you look at so Taylor, to me, is now forever etched as I was already etched as one of the great ones here at Penn State. But anytime you're the first to do anything, right? I mean, there's just a
legacy altering for sure.
Yes, touch to it. And the thing with David that I love about what happened here, because when he came to Penn State, I mean, he was the epitome of the can't miss guy, right? Like, I mean, he was all everything. Everybody knew he was going to be successful, couldn't lose. And I don't mean couldn't lose a match, but I mean, he was a guy that was not going to be somebody that didn't live up to the hype. And just everybody you talked to that had known him, watched him, anything before he even got on the Penn State campus said, nope, this guy's the real deal. And obviously it panned out that he was, although certainly had his fair share of setbacks along the way. the two things that will forever stand out for me with David Taylor, and there are many, many things that will stand out about David Taylor, but and I think John Smith, or actually it was Jordan Burroughs that was talking about it during the broadcast, talking about how he's just so consistent. And Cal Sanderson preaches it all of the time that it's you don't just go out and perform big in the big matches. It is coming to the room every day, not just wrestling well, but with the right attitude, living the right lifestyle, the whole bit. And I still think for all of the amazing accolades that David Taylor has, and I mean, what hasn't he accomplished? 4-time state champion, 2-time national champion, 2-time Hodge Trophy winner, and now an Olympic gold medalist. All of that is beyond impressive. This is a guy, though, that never, when you talk about consistency, he never missed a match. And you talk about a team guy, and I think Jordan was talking about how Taylor is one of the most giving, and of course Jordan Burroughs is a outright hero in his own right, and forever will be remembered as one of the all-time greats in American wrestling. But Jordan talked about how David Taylor is a very giving individual, and he certainly is. But to me, the epitome of that is he never, and I want you to just think about this for a second, with all that wrestling entails, he never missed a high school or college dual meet. This is a guy that started every single dual meet in high school and college. Now, part of that is a little bit of luck, right? I mean, to not have an injury to an extent that you had to miss some time, and that nobody's going to fault anybody for doing that. But that's also, again, part of what's amazing about that is this is a guy that was performing at a very high level at a very young age, and never said to his teammates, "Listen, I'm just not feeling right. I tweaked my knee in practice. I'm a little under the weather."
No load management
at all. I mean, again, it is, it was always impressive to me when we were in school, and it still is to me, that the kids, and I was never one of them. I was always, I was very rarely not at school, but there was always a day or two where, whatever reason, just not quite feeling right, whatever, but you would miss school. I was always impressed with the kids who went the entire academic year without missing a single day of school. That was always just impressive to me. To go 4 years of high school and 4 years of college, and again, not sit out a dual meet for any reason. And there was, I'm sure there were other times. There was a dual meet at Lehigh where Taylor, I mean, he was clearly sick. I mean, he just was really under the weather, and he went out and beat a ranked opponent by major decision, but didn't, and won like 15-7. And I remember we're reading through the message boards and stuff, and oh man, I think Taylor, he might be slowing down or this and that. I'm like, do you understand how amazing it is that this guy just does not take a night off?
He didn't get any pizza delivery from the Utah Jazz the night before that match, did he?
Oddly enough, I don't believe so. But so when we talk about that consistency, and again, just bringing it all of the time, to me, David Taylor epitomizes that. A couple of other things that were just going through my mind as I'm watching that. So Taylor, again, largely from the time he was 7 or 8, knew nothing but success on the mat. Obviously got caught and pinned by Bubba Jenkins in the finals at the end of his freshman year, and then had the couple of tough losses, including in the NCAA finals to Kyle Dake. But aside from that, again, largely successful and amazing credentials. And then, he did have trouble getting on the U.S. team, right? And it took him a while to kind of figure out what his best place was. and to get himself there. And I just love that I don't know that people appreciate as much as I think they should, and maybe they do, how special it is for somebody who is, if it came easily. And I don't mean that, that he wasn't working his tail off to get where he was, but, and I've talked to David about this, that, it is one thing to work your tail off, get reward. Okay, well, now I'm going to keep working my tail off. I see I get a reward. Work your tail off, get reward. And he obviously has tremendous natural ability as well. I mean, it's the combination, and he is one of those, as we talk about all the time. It's when you get elite talent with elite work ethic, that's when you get the great ones, the Michael Jordans, the Muhammad Ali's, the David Taylors in the world of wrestling. But when it is easy to keep your drive up when you keep getting the rewards, right? Like if I'm a businessman and like I have a plan together, and I'm working my tail off, I'm putting in 60-hour weeks, but at the end of each week, man, I'm seeing the tens of thousands of dollars roll in. Well, now, I'm ready to go, and let's do it again that next week. What is tough, right, is, and I think it's even more so when you have had that success and then you run into that wall, to then sit back, readjust, and get yourself refocused to go after, again, the ultimate goal in this case for David. It is, again, it's one thing for somebody in business to not have success, keep grinding, and then find success, and that's a wonderful story, and there are lots of them. It is more difficult if you get that early success and then it falls apart on you to then, hey, I'm going to come back and readjust and focus. And I just, what David did to persevere, just to get on the team, and then obviously with the knee injury and coming back from that, and, he beat, I don't know if the other part that I don't know if people understand is just what a legend Yazdani is in his country.
Yeah, I was good. That guy is supposedly fantastic, right?
Yeah, I am not exaggerating. When I tell you that he is Tom Brady-esque, like that is an apt comparison. I mean, that is how he is viewed.
Yeah, okay.
In Iran, and so this was, I mean, he took down, David Taylor did, an idol. I mean, a true like national hero.
Wow.
With that late takedown, and it was
who was at, like 100%. You see, like we came right down to the end. Absolutely good enough to beat him. Like that was a battle of equals.
Yeah. No, and the strategy was interesting because I do think David changed it up a bit. Wanted to not put himself in as big of a hole as he had the two previous meetings with Yazdani, which he's 3-0 now, lifetime, against a guy who nobody else has been able to beat in the last, whatever it is, 8-9 years here. And so, again, hats off to David Taylor and, his family and obviously the coaches. And that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. And then, we can go other directions. How many head coaches do you know that, and it is just such a testament to who Cael Sanderson is as a person and as a coach. And I don't know how many people notice this, but in every match at the Olympics with Gilman, and we'll see. Now, Cael may be in there with Snyder, and Cael works more, again, obviously with the upper weights. But, I mean, Cody Sanderson was the one with Gilman in the corner the entire time, and Casey Cunningham, who I've got to tell you, from a technical standpoint, from a technical coaching standpoint, I am here to tell you that there is nobody better, and I'm not sure there is anybody even equal. There might be one or two that are the equal, but there is nobody better than Casey Cunningham at breaking down an individual matchup and picking apart an opponent and putting together a strategy for a particular opponent. And I do think both of these guys changed their strategies a little bit from the previous two meetings and what they wanted to do. And the one thing and I'm not going to tell you that I thought with 30 seconds left it was a guarantee that David Taylor was going to win, but I loved what I was seeing from him from the start right until that final takedown with his focus. And there was never, you see sometimes with 10 seconds left in a 1-point match, I mean, guys they're going after it, but it's kind of wild. David was just kind of in control that whole time, and it felt like he was at least going to get off a good shot. I mean, you just had that feeling watching it that he was still in good shape. And
think about how in the zone and disciplined you have to be able to manage from second to second with like 10 seconds ticking down in the gold medal match and all that work and all that journey you just talked about on the line, and still just to be totally in the moment and in control. I'm just thinking as you're talking here, Ironhead, I'm thinking about everything, the journey he's taken and where he is going to end up ranking amongst the all-time student athletes, any sport at Penn State.
Yeah.
I mean, I am totally spitballing. I'd have to go back and look at that issue of the Penn Stater they did a few years ago with the top 50 athletes. But, I mean, you can absolutely make an argument for him as number one all time, right?
He's got to be on the very short list of contenders. I mean, and again, it's funny because we got into a debate. I think it was Mark Brennan with Fight on State and I. This is years ago. I mean, and we were debating all-time great athletes at Penn State and then all-time great athletes, period. And you have to take everything in context for me, because yes, obviously the athletes today, even the average athletes, with what they have at their disposal in terms of coaching and weight training and everything else.
Sure.
Like, yes, because my contention was Jim Thorpe is the greatest athlete in American history. It's like Jim Thorpe wouldn't be able, look at his times and all this stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, I understand that.
But that's true in
at
any
his
era,
time. Yes.
Right?
But if you put Jim Thorpe in this era and gave him the coaching and the training and everything and the apparel, like I'm telling you, that guy was just an athlete. Like,
do you think it's true that Michael Jordan would not have eaten McDonald's for 2 meals a day for like the first 12 years of his career if he was, playing in today's era? Probably.
So, yeah. So again, with that context in mind, I mean, Jesse Arnell obviously would have to be on that short list. Barney Ewell, and if you don't know who Barney Ewell is, do yourself a favor and
deep cut.
And,
I like that.
And look him up, because just a remarkable track and field star and a remarkable story in his own right. But so this is where the debate. So I was for Penn State. I was saying, Jesse Arnell will be at the top, and he was bringing up LeVar Arrington at the time, and I think Arrington was either playing here at the time or maybe had just finished up. And so that led into a discussion of, being a great athlete versus accomplishment, right? Like just pure athleticism versus accomplishment. I'm here to tell you, no matter how you try to carve this up, David Taylor is at least up there on the very short list at the top. Again, Jesse Arnell, Barney Ewell. There are a handful of others, depending, again, on what your measuring stick is. Saquon Barkley would have to be up there somewhere, just if we're just talking pure athleticism. But from an accomplishment standpoint, again, you're talking about a guy that was a 4-time state champion in high school, 2-time national champion and 2-time runner-up in college, and the 2 times he won the national title, both times undefeated, and Hodge Trophy winner, which is, again, the equivalent of the Heisman Trophy in football, and now an Olympic gold medalist. I mean, he has achieved the very highest honors at every level of wrestling. The other thing that was going through my mind as I'm watching it is, man, this guy. And listen, David Taylor was and is going to be successful in life, period, no matter what. But what this does now is set up, and much like Cale set himself up for the success he's had. Now, that doesn't mean, nothing's guaranteed. It's not that you win a gold medal, therefore you will be an 8-time NCAA championship coach. Like that. That's not the way that works. But what it does do is open the door now. And David, with his connections in the wrestling world, and again, I go back to Jordan Burroughs' comments about how giving he is, and you certainly see it with the M2 Training Center here locally, and the work he does with the kids here on a local basis. But with the connections he has, and I've been around him at enough of these events. David is, when you say that he is known by everyone, not only is he known, it feels like he knows everyone. And I mean from like youth age all the way through in wrestling. I mean, this is a guy that, again, if he wants a head coaching job next year, he can, outside of, maybe 5 schools, Penn State being one of them at the moment, he could, excuse me, I'd like to be your head coach. Oh,
hold on.
Just give us a second.
We'll
get rid of this guy. Because, yes, I mean, you're not going to turn down a guy who has, again, the connections, the personality, the maturity, and now, again, the accolades at every level. I mean, he has a chance, and I'm not saying that he's going to achieve at the same rate that Dan Gable or Cale Sanderson did. But, I mean, if that's the route he wants to go, that opportunity is going to be there. And he's going to get in the door with any high school kid if he goes that route. And listen, I don't know what I've done a few telecasts with him with Rockfin. And I will tell you, and if you watched him on ESPN with the coverage, if he wants to go the broadcasting route, he is phenomenal at being able to break down what is happening, explain what is happening. And there are not a lot of people that again, have the personality and the knowledge and the understanding of the importance of brevity that he does in those broadcasts. I think he is a phenomenal communicator. And if that's, again, the route he wants to go, he can do that. And again, he can, if he wants to get away from wrestling altogether, which I don't think he would ever do, but I mean, and just go delve into some other career, he would be wildly successful at that, because that's just who he is. He's just a very determined individual.
Do you think he is for sure done with Olympic competition now?
Yeah, I had somebody ask me that. I don't know, and I've never talked to him about it. My guess, and it is purely a guess, because I mean, he does love wrestling, obviously, and loves competing, and there's no question about that. And the one thing I didn't think, I was talking with a friend about this morning, because he was asking the same thing. He said, has he announced, is that it? And I said, I've been kind of assuming it is, but
3 years versus 4 years.
Yes. Yeah. So the fact that it is, 2021, and we're talking 3 years now, that's other side of it is
still a long time. That's a hell of a grind.
And here's the other side of it. So yeah, it is.
We're saying it like it's the difference between like $3 and $4,
right?
Like,
yes,
it's a big chunk of your life.
Yeah, it is a long grind, and it is a very time-consuming grind. And obviously, he is amazing, as all of those guys are at time management. But does have a young family now. Married, does have a kid, and he and his wife have a business venture that they've started locally, and he still has the M2 training center. And again, he just won Olympic gold with all of that going on, which again speaks to volumes to his dedication and his ability in the support system. And to his credit, he is consistently thanking his support system, coaches, wife, the family, the whole bit. So I'm of two mindsets, and I don't really know. I don't know if he has even really sat down and thought about this yet. Because on one hand, again, you've achieved all that there is to achieve. Yeah. Obviously, you can win another Olympic gold, and that would be, again, add to the legacy for sure. But with everything else he has going on, my thinking, and I'm not David Taylor, but my thinking would be, okay, I have nothing left to prove. Let's get on to this other stuff. But again, this is a guy who, I mean, no question, loves the sport, loves to compete. And I think much like Cale Sanderson, remember Cale while he was head coach, decided, hey, yeah, let's just give this another whirl.
I do remember, yeah.
and darn near, with very little training, by the way, in terms of
that's crazy.
Darn near pulled off another remarkable feat. So, the short answer is I don't know, and neither decision would greatly surprise me because, again, my thinking would be, hey, let's go out on the high note from the competitive standpoint. Let's start getting our toes in the water and see what else we can do. But and again, I don't know what he's thinking in terms of long-term objectives. If his ultimate goal, and Jason Nolf has talked, I think, half kiddingly, maybe even only a quarter kiddingly, Jason has talked about eventually he wants to be the head coach here at Penn State. If that is something that is one of David's aspirations, and again, I don't know that it is, but if it is, he may want to go ahead and compete for the next 3 years because, again, Cale's not going anywhere. He can continue to be around the program and, in essence, be a coach in that room,
right?
Without having the coach label, or he could even get a Nittany Lion Wrestling Club coach label, but not be part of the official coaching staff at Penn State. But if and continue to get his roots in here in Pennsylvania. Again, he has a lot of built-in advantages here in terms of if that is the route he wants to go. And again, I don't know how much longer Cale wants to go. I don't know if Cale knows how much longer he wants to go. I think Cale is one of those coaches that if he's not able to roll around and be active in the room with the kids, I think he would want to back out at that point. I just don't think he's a guy.
There was a track record of Penn State coaches who start talking like that, and about 20 to 25 years later, they're saying the exact same thing.
True enough.
So,
no, but I really do. I think, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere for the next five or 6 years anyway. But it is going to be interesting to see kind of just what because David now has deep roots here. And again, it's not that he can't pick those roots up and go and find success anywhere else that he wants to. But with the M2 Training Center and now with his wife having the business open downtown. And again, I don't think any of that precludes him from taking advantage of other opportunities outside of this area. But I do think, I don't think, I know, I mean, he has talked about it. He feels that this is home now. And again, home can change. And
no better place though, man. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. And again, I think there's a lot of, whether or not he continues with his competitive career or not, I think there's a lot of opportunities here for him in this area to continue to grow. And again, if the long-term aspirations are to get into, high level collegiate coaching, I think that opportunity is still going to be here or there for him. And I also think, if he wants to continue working with youth and again continue to train, I think that's it's a nice position to be in. Again, he can basically pick what door it is that he wants to open right now. There's going to be lots of opportunity knocking for David Taylor here in the coming days, weeks, and months. So for that matter, years. But it was just it was fun to watch. It's just not very often that you get to, and I consider David a friend. I've gotten to know him and his family pretty well, and it's just neat when you get to somebody that you actually know. And incredible. And again, consider awesome. A friend have that type of success and get that type of exposure on the international stage. It was just a fun moment. And again, Thomas Gilman winning bronze was a huge deal for the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club as well. And I think is also a big feather in the cap for this coaching staff, and it was neat watching Cody Sanderson get the airtime that he was during the bronze medal match in particular. But I do think it speaks volumes. And Cody's wife actually wrote just a really neat Facebook post about basically kind of an open letter to Thomas, saying thank you for trusting us. Thank you for being the stand-up man that you are, and for representing the sport and you and your family the way you do. And congratulations. I'm obviously paraphrasing all of this, but congratulations on earning an Olympic medal. That is a pretty big deal. And I'm really curious to see. Kyle Snyder will get underway tonight. Kyle Snyder will get underway tonight.
And then one other Nittany Lion Club wrestler still alive for a medal. Is that right?
Yes. And
not for the U.S., though.
No. Correct. And it'll come to me in a second. The other, from the freestyle standpoint, so going into the Olympics, I really thought the U.S. had a legitimate, really good shot at 4 gold medals. I don't know how many folks had a chance to watch the Kyle Dake match. We were talking a little bit before we went on the air. I have just never seen, and I don't know, John Smith seemed to think it was, largely just congratulations to his opponent, just wrestled a great match.
Maybe he ordered pizza from the Utah Jazz.
That seems more likely. I've just never, and listen, we all have off days. We've talked about this before, but Kyle has just been, go back to that model of consistency. I've just never seen him give up takedowns as seemingly easily as he did this morning. And if you didn't see it, Dave was upset.
See the match, and that's what he was telling me.
Yeah,
very uncharacteristic.
He was upset 11-0. It looked nothing like the Kyle Dake that we've seen for the last since he splashed onto the collegiate scene at Cornell, but certainly not in the last 3 or 4 years, where he just is. It's seemingly impossible to score on him, and but he gave up 11 points. So I'm curious to see how he responds, and then again we'll see how Kyle Snyder his run will start tonight with the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. But still a chance here for as many as 3 gold medals for the U.S. Gable Steveson will wrestle for gold. And then, again, Kyle Snyder will get underway tonight, obviously hoping for gold. But David Taylor, gold, and Thomas Gilman, bronze. And pretty exciting stuff for the wrestling community here, certainly for the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, but also for Team USA. Just neat stuff.
I have another follow-up question about that, because spoiler alert, I do not give a crap about the Hall of Fame game. Right, Steelers, I get it. Yeah, football, but come on.
Oh, we're going to find out tonight which team is truly ready for a Super Bowl run.
I actually came prepared with some things to talk about with the Hall of Fame game, but I one other thing on the David Taylor game.
You have me beat, though.
Okay, so you have a very look. Let me backtrack a little bit. If you are an elite athlete, a youth athlete in any sport, you are dialed in and paying very close attention to that sport and watching the best athletes in whatever sport you play. So if you're a high school wrestler, you're a middle school wrestler, and you already know that you are thinking about like a scholarship career in that sport.
Yep.
You're watching this, you know who David Taylor is, you see that performance on the biggest stage. So now you have a gold medal from Penn State. You have the proximity to the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club and all the success that they're having and may continue to have till the Olympics are over. I know it's probably pretty difficult when you're up near the top to improve your standing even more on the recruiting trail. So I'm just curious, Ironhead, what your thoughts are on what potential additional ammo this might give Kale. As you know, look, like you've talked about, there are some other programs that have stepped up and played to the level of competition. As Penn State has raised the bar, you've seen Ohio State and Iowa and Oklahoma State. They're all out here. They're coming hard. They're charging hard after Penn State. What kind of a leg up do you think this maybe gives Kale as he continues to, accelerate the arms race?
Yeah, I truly think it is significant.
Okay.
And there's a couple of things at play. Obviously, having an Olympic gold medalist is a big deal for any program.
It's gotta be.
And immediately, yes, as you said, garners attention from the entire community, including the high school and younger kids who are looking up to those individuals.
And look, if Gable Stevenson wins a gold, that doesn't help Minnesota at all, because everybody knows he crash landed in a pod from Krypton or somewhere. There are no other human beings built like that guy anywhere on the planet Earth. So, look, you can't, if you're Minnesota, that guy just dropped into your lap. They didn't develop him. That guy, like I said, he's from another planet, and his spaceship happened to land in the
listen, if you're on the recruiting trail, can I just also point out, because Minnesota, the heavyweight legacy at Minnesota is truly remarkable. From Garrett Lowney to Brock Lesnar, they have had over the last 20 years or so. It really is astounding the number of great heavyweights that have come from Minnesota. And obviously, Gable Stevenson, as you said, is an absolute freak of nature.
I don't understand that guy. I don't understand a guy who is built like that, moving like that. It doesn't make any sense to me.
You know what makes even less sense? Is that there was an individual that he could not beat. And that individual happened to be a Penn Stater. So if you're Penn State, you're going to go out there, right? And it's oh, yeah, no, Gable Stevenson was great. Yeah, we had the guy that beat him twice.
Yep.
At the collegiate level. If you want to come work out with the guy that can beat
what a great
that
story
guy.
That was.
But really, does that not underscore how truly unbelievable Anthony Cassar's run
crazy
that season was? It is. And I don't want to get too carried away with Cassar, because Cassar is forever going to be, I think, my favorite Penn State story. And I have a lot of, James English is right up there. John Lange coming back and winning third after losing his first match and becoming the first wrestler to win 7 straight bouts after losing the opener to get third place at the NCAA tournament from any school that there's a lot of great stories. James Yannishonis, the local kid, earning All-America honors after a very pedestrian first couple of years. There have been a lot of great stories. Kerry McCoy and, all the national champions through the years. But Cassar's story, to me, will just forever stand out because of everything that he went through and battled through and persevered through, and his willingness, again, after, I think he could have rightfully looked at it and said, listen, I had the job that should be mine snatched away from me by the coaches. I think it would have been very understandable for him to be resentful of the coaching staff after he knocked off the number 1 kid in the country at the time, Colin Moore, for Ohio State, and that was his last bout of the year. Then Penn State coaches it was a coach's decision. They said, nope, we're going to go with Shakur Rashid. And I'm just telling you, I think a lot of guys would have said, you coaches stink. You don't know what you're doing. I'm out of here, whatever. And Cassar, to his everlasting credit, went to the coaches, knows obviously that they know a little something about wrestling, and went to them and said, what do I need to do to prove that I am the guy? And they went about a weight plan and said, let's maybe get you to heavyweight because you love being in the weight room. And, your strength could be a real asset. And your quickness, at heavyweight is going to be unreal because you're a very quick 97-pounder. And so they went about the game plan, and again, he executed it to absolute perfection. But so
not only bump up a weight class and then beat an absolute freak of nature.
Yeah, so not only does he
win an Olympic gold medal,
one of the most amazing athletic marvels we've ever seen in the sport, and come back from an injury, but I don't know how well known it is, but that shoulder was basically hanging by a thread all of that season. They knew, he and awesome. The Penn State staff knew that if he got it torqued wrong at any point, would very likely be the end of the season and any chances. And to wrestle the way he did, and to part of it was that he knew he had to kind of protect that shoulder a little bit, and to do that at the level he did against the level of competition that he was facing, in particular with Gable Steveson, again, is, to me, the greatest story that I've seen, at least in my covering Penn State wrestling since the late 80s. But
so if you're Cale at this point, is it fair to compare him to Nick Saban in terms of the gravitas he brings into a recruiting visit versus all of his peers? I think,
yeah,
he's the Nick Saban of that world.
Yeah, the one difference to me, and again, it just was driven home here over these last couple of days of watching the Olympics, is, and Cale will be the first to tell you this, and it really, it is, I struggle. I mean, Joe Paterno kept his staff together, obviously, for the most part, for many years, and they obviously worked very well, but the level of success and the amount of trust that Cody Sanderson, Cale Sanderson, and Casey Cunningham have in each other and with each other. And obviously, I mean, Jake Varner, very much part of that as well. But what those guys are able to do and have been able to do, and it is, Cale's talked about it many times. Like, Cale genuinely looks at it as, we are three equal coaches, with the understanding, and Cale if there is something that has to be decided, it is ultimately Cale's decision. If Casey and Cody think they should be heading in one direction on something, and Cale doesn't think they should be heading that direction, Cale, obviously, as the head coach, has the power to say, nope, that's not what we're going to do here. So it's not, but they don't have the way they work together. Again, is just one of the most amazing success stories in coaching, because in order to work the way they do, you cannot have any ego there. And
for sure,
how you cannot have ego with the level of success that each of those guys has had at every level, including the coaching level. And make no mistake, I mean, Cody Sanderson and Casey Cunningham can have head coaching jobs, yeah,
for sure,
at any moment.
No question.
I mean, and really good ones. I mean, I'm not talking about taking a job to take a job. I'm talking about that those guys. People in the wrestling community know that they are built for success, and the fact that all three of them are as committed to each other and the program and the kids that they have as they are is again a testament to their character, as well as, again, the way they all get along, the ability to put ego aside in the pursuit of success. And I'm telling you, any college coach will tell you that they are there for their kids at any time. These guys, when I tell you that they live it, it is, I am not exaggerating, that if any one of them got a call from a kid at 2 a.m. saying, there's something I need to go over, would you be willing to come to the room? And again, these all are committed family men, have wonderful families, have kids at home, and I'm telling you, they would all take that call and go up to the room and, yep, let's figure out whatever it is that's bothering you, and let's figure it out. And it's just, and again, it's not just the guys, it is the families. I mean, the wives and the kids have to be understanding of the situation and have to be committed as well. And I mean, it is, James Franklin will tell you that the same thing. I mean, you do not achieve the type of success at a high level of athletics without, again, having a tremendous support structure around you. And what those coaches and families do, and then the benefits that these kids and young men reap is it's really special stuff. circling back to what you were talking about with the recruiting. So again, having just a gold medalist, that in and of itself is a big deal for the program. It is something you can put on the marquee and on all of the recruiting material. Not that Penn State necessarily needs a lot more of that with the 8 national titles that Cale has and his name and brand already established. And again, Casey and Cody, I guarantee you there's not a more respected assistant coaching staff in the country. And I'm not sure there are many that are even close. But above and beyond all of that, what I don't know if you were able to see, but the kids that we're talking about that are dialed in here on wrestling and the recruiting front. So, you obviously know Bo Nickel was training with David Taylor for a long while. Right. And obviously Nickel, you could argue right now after the results of this past year has established himself as the third best wrestler at 86 kilos in the world behind Yazdani and Taylor. And but so Aaron Brooks was over in Japan training with Taylor as well. And Taylor posted on, I don't know if it must have been his Twitter account, but a picture thanking Aaron for being such a great scrapper and like really helping him get prepared. This was, I think, right before the Olympics began. So again, if to your point, and again, I don't know that Penn State needs any more of a competitive recruiting advantage, but yeah, if you're a kid and you're looking at this, it's like, well, wait a second, I can go to Penn State and work with a David Taylor, or the guy that helped get him ready will be one of my teammates. Again, that is a big deal. And I do think the thing that Penn State has going now, and this is, I think, like Nick Saban in Alabama, where I was going earlier, what's not alike is, again, just the consistency within that staff. Nick Saban's staff is constantly turning over. And by the way, that is a credit to Nick Saban. That's not a criticism in any way. I mean, it's actually remarkable that he's able to sustain the success. But again,
Nick Saban career rehabilitative program for wayward former head coaches.
Absolutely. And but again, what these guys have going right now, and what is truly remarkable is that there is never any complacency with these coaches, right? Like, and I think it would be human nature. It's like, well, okay, now we've won 8 national titles. We've produced all of these Olympians. We've produced gold medalists. Let's sit back and give ourselves a little pat on the back. And
what the
not only do they not do that,
you're getting better, you're getting worse. Right?
And they are, when I tell you they are committed to getting better, it is not lip service. These guys are as well versed as anybody could be in terms of keeping up on the technology, on what the best training methods are, what the little nuances are that they might be able to add. I think we've talked about on this show before, but they work with different specialists across the country in terms of looking and monitoring sleep patterns and diet to figure out, okay, what gets you to your optimum performance, and the psychological study. I mean, so these guys are reading, talking to other coaches, other performance, and not just within the sport. I mean, I guarantee you, without knowing this, I know it, that while they're at the Olympics, I just know that Cale, Casey, and Cody are talking to other, whether it's the psychiatrists, the trainers, whatever, in the other sports, to just find out, hey, what are you doing that's getting your guys or gals to compete at the highest levels? So what are some things that, because they're constantly looking to get that added edge. And on the recruiting front, again, so I do think that having, again, a gold medalist is a big deal. It's just a signature thing for the program. But beyond that, again, it's David Taylor saying that, yeah, the guys that are in this program are what's helping me get to this level. And the fact that, listen, you have 3 Olympians now in the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, and at least 2 medalists. I'm expecting Kyle Snyder to medal again as well. But, well, you have 3 medalists. I mean, Kyle's already got a gold.
Right.
So, again, you're going to be able to work out with guys that have accomplished things at the very highest level. And now a coaching staff that continues to add to its accolades and resume,
be
as if
coached
that
by the
seems even
coaches who coached them.
possible. And so, and I think the other part of it goes back to the personalities that they recruit. That I'm talking about the Penn State coaches. When they are recruiting, that obviously your wrestling is a big part of it, but they're also looking for high character guys. I mean, a big part of why Max Dean is coming into the program, it's not like there was a tremendous need in the upper weights there for Penn State, that they had a big hole to fill. It's that it's another high character guy who lives, breathes, and eats wrestling and a lifestyle that produces positivity. And Kale's, there's never going to be not room in that wrestling room for that type of individual. Even if, I mean, they could have 2 national title contenders at a weight, and they've had that before, Ed Ruth and Matt Brown. And if there was a third guy that had, the right attitude and mindset at that weight class, I'm telling you, they would welcome him in a heartbeat. So, that's the other part of it, is just recruiting the guys that will then recruit others. I mean, Aaron Brooks is he just has an infectious personality. Roman Bravo Young is just tremendously outgoing. If you come onto the campus, again, not only are you looking at the accolades, well, yeah, these guys are both national champions, and obviously it'd be wonderful to have them as workout partners, but they also live, the right lifestyle, have made adjustments, and are very willing to share their knowledge and expertise and help others. And again, that's what throughout this program, and it obviously starts with Cal, but with Casey and Cody as well. And again, all throughout, it truly is about that, just giving and wanting to help others, whether it be teammates or young individuals, who may, some of which won't come to the program, but it's about promoting and growing the sport and getting more people involved and passionate and enjoying it. And I think, again, I do think if it's possible for Penn State to go to another level, I do think that this is going to help propel it there. I do think one of the goals, and I don't know that it's been openly stated by Cal, but Minnesota right now is the only program that has ever had 10 All-Americans in one season. And I do think it is one of the aspirations that Cal has, is to have that quote-unquote complete team. Now, Minnesota had no national champions. I don't think Cal would settle for no national champions and 10 All-Americans. Not that that's what Minnesota, obviously, not what they were shooting for, but I do think getting the 10 All-Americans is a big deal to Cal, and I think that is something that is coming. I don't know whether it'll be this coming year, within the next 2 or 3 years, but I'll be and I think that is more difficult to do now than ever with the scholarship limitations, and as we've talked about, the number of programs that are committed to the sport of wrestling. It is a really daunting challenge. I think even more so than it ever has been. And again, it's only been done once. So, but I do think it's something that Cale will ultimately accomplish here at Penn State. And I do think it's something, again, I don't know that he's openly talked about that being an aspiration, but he has talked about he wants this program to get better every year, and
right.
that's always the goal. They're never going to be satisfied. They always want to get a little bit better, and I do think with what they have in that room right now, and if they can get a couple of more high-end recruits, which, again, I think even without David Taylor winning the gold was likely to happen. I do think that even bigger and better things, if that's possible, are coming for this program, and it really is just one of the amazing stories. One other thing just on the Olympics, and then we'll take a break here. I don't know if you've been able to watch the women's volleyball, but Micah Hancock will forever be one of my all-time favorite Penn State athletes. She was, and it's a mindset very similar to David Taylor. She was just somebody that came in with, again, very high credentials, very high expectations, and went through a little bit of an adjustment period. And to Russ Rose's credit and the coaches and her credit, she really did elevate to just that next level. I watched the beginning. I don't understand why she wasn't more involved right from the outset with that team. But what she and Haley Washington, and I love watching the two of them now because I loved watching them when I think Micah was a senior when Haley was a freshman, if I remember that right.
Yep.
And you could just see the chemistry and the joy that they got feeding off of one another. And Micah's serve, I mean, one of my all-time favorite things with an athlete and crowd at Penn State was the whole setting off of the bomb going into Micah Hancock's serves. That was because it was, spontaneous. It wasn't something that was forced upon by any marketing. It was just so cool. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Micah, when she has that jump serve, which is just remarkable, and it was is extremely effective, but was remarkably successful at the collegiate level. And the Penn State fans would boom, and then when she would hit it, and it was like a bomb went off, and she had more aces than anybody, I think, in Penn State history by a good margin.
I'd be shocked if that wasn't the case.
But she is just again, just a wonderful personality. Had a chance to talk to her several times. She would come in the studio to promote stuff when I was at the radio station. I had a chance to meet her dad, who was puts you in the mindset of a biker, and a really cool dude, just fun to talk to, and a really neat family as well. And again, she, to her credit, has stuck with it, and again is a big part of Team USA's run here now into the semifinals in pursuit of gold. But it's cool to see Penn Staters again that I've gotten to know a little bit over the years have the type of success, and we're actually watching a replay of David Taylor finishing up his match right now here at Quaker Steak and Lube from earlier this morning, winning gold. Joe Kovacs won silver in shot put today as well, which was, again, just really, really cool stuff. So congratulations. Just to get to the Olympics is a huge, huge accomplishment. But to win medals and to win gold is, again, it's just the ultimate for these individuals and teams. So take a break here. We'll be back to break down the X's and O's in this Cowboys-Steelers matchup. Can you hardly wait?
The State College Spikes are back home tonight at 6:35 to take on the Trenton Thunder. Medler Field at Leblano Park goes to the Dogs on Bark in the Park night. Bring your four-legged friend to the game for a barking good time. Plus, it's $2 Tuesday with outfield bleacher seats, hot dogs, popcorn, and walking tacos, all just $2 a piece. Bark in the Park and $2 Tuesday tonight at 6:35. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube. but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait, tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickles Tap Room, we say,
Tell him Johnny sent you.
and remember,
Can I also ask one other question as I'm watching
Please.
the replay? The one thing that I and there must be an answer to it. I just don't know what it is. God, that takedown was spectacular by David Taylor with about 18 seconds left to win gold.
What a way to win.
4-3 win. No, it was just amazing stuff. I don't know that there's much better than watching Casey Cunningham's reactions to David Taylor or any of his wrestlers' success either. He's you go back to Quentin Wright's pin of Grant Gambrell of Iowa, and it is fun watching Casey react as well to the victories. But why in wrestling, and I haven't seen it anywhere else, and maybe it's always been in wrestling, I haven't noticed it other years, but they are including the middle name on all of these wrestlers. It's David Morris Taylor III, and it's and I don't even remember now what the other middle names are, but they're including the middle names with all of these guys, and I just don't know if there's a. I mean, I think it's kind of cool, but like. Have you ever seen it in any other sport, in any other
No.
coverage where it's like normally included? And it's been with every one of these wrestlers. And again, that's not a complaint. It's just an observation. It's just different, which I kind of like because it is different, but it just seems odd. They're not doing it in swimming. They're not doing, it just is an oddity to me. Anyways, just an odd observation by yours truly. Yeah, I'm really not sure I'm actually going to even tune into the Steelers-Cowboys game tonight.
You're going to watch it for 5 minutes and then be like, this is terrible. Turn it off.
Yeah, I'll probably check it out.
The Hall of Fame game is it's so bad. It's so tough to watch.
Yeah, it is. But there was a time, right? And it wasn't that long ago where pretty much all of the starters would play at least a series. They were never in there for, it was never 4 quarters of, hey, top-notch football. But, neither starting quarterback is playing. I don't know.
So here are 3 things if you're going to care at all about watching this game.
Right.
I'll give you one for Steelers fans. Well, I'll give you 3 for Penn State fans. And one of them also happens to be for Steelers fans.
Yes.
Ironhead, has there ever been greater interest in investment in this area in the play of Mason Rudolph in a game that doesn't count?
No.
Because even if you are a Penn State fan, you're at least interested in the fact that when you watch Mason Rudolph play, and probably poorly, you can go home and think Mike Yursich made this guy look like one of the best quarterbacks in college football. So all these people who are super worried about Sean Clifford and the quarterback situation, like they made this guy into a superstar.
This is true.
Mike Yursich managed to hoodwink the Steelers into drafting Mason Rudolph. So there you go. So then the other 2 interesting things for me are Micah Parsons is probably, I think, going to play a lot tonight. I bet he plays almost the whole first half.
Yeah.
And another interesting, because Pat Fryermuth is probably not going to play, just got a little dinged up. Now, I talked to one of my buddies who covers the team. They don't think it's serious. Yeah. But at this point, he had some shoulder issues last season. Yep. You want to be careful with it. But Connor McGovern was a 3rd-round pick in Dallas, and I think they've liked what they've seen from him when he's been healthy, and that hasn't been all that often. Yep. I think he is potentially playing for a roster spot this preseason. So if you're a Penn State fan and you tune in to the Hall of Fame game tonight, I think a subplot to watch is when does Connor McGovern get in for the Dallas offensive line? How much does he play? And what position do they have him at?
Yeah.
Because he could potentially play
too,
anywhere along the interior of that offensive line, which was so stout for so long in Dallas, and because of salary cap issues is now back in flux. So if he is healthy, there is an opportunity there for him. You'll get every chance as a first, second, or third round pick.
Yeah.
And so there's an opportunity for Connor, I think, right now, but he's got to seize it. And if he doesn't, he might be looking for a job with another team before the preseason's over.
Yep. That is a good subplot to be checking out tonight.
I mean, it's really not.
Still not sure I'm going to, but
the fate of a backup offensive lineman on a team probably most people in our audience hates as well. You should in the first preseason game. Like, that's the best I can do.
And in all seriousness, why do great Penn State linebackers keep getting stuck with the Dallas Cowboys?
Disgusting.
It's killing me.
Disgusting.
I mean, Sean Lee is one of my all-time favorites, right? But
I know, it's awful.
The
it
Cowboys
makes me sick. It makes
of all
me sick.
the teams.
Physically,
and Micah, I do think Micah is going to have one of the more sensational careers. And I'm sorry to do that to you, Mike. I'm trying to avoid the jinx for you that I can put on individuals. But that guy, I mean, if he stays healthy, Pooch, he is going to be a phenom in the NFL.
It makes me sick.
And it's just hopefully at some point he can do it with.
Can I just briefly mention one other thing before we get out of here? The NFL subplot from the other side of the Commonwealth. As a disinterested outside observer, does the continued smoke that swirls around a potential trade by the Philadelphia Eagles to acquire Deshaun Watson make any sense to you?
To me, no.
So let me go through. So here are the three problems I have with this. Number one, the guy has like 95 pending sexual assault allegations against him, which are totally unresolved. So he might get into legal trouble. He might get suspended by the league. It might be both. At this point, you don't even know if the guy's going to be able to play, and the asking price remains high. So that's problem number one. The asking price is number two. The Eagles are bad. They're a bad team right now, and to mortgage draft capital and or players in order to acquire a quarterback who has a huge salary cap hit and is already, look, quarterbacks are playing longer and longer into their careers, but it's not like you're getting a rookie. So you're taking on a big salary with all the availability questions, and you're giving up the assets you need to be able to make your team better. And the third problem is we saw what Deshaun Watson, a legitimate top 5 quarterback, does on a legitimate bottom 5 roster last season, and it gets you the third pick in the draft. So I just don't understand why, if you're Philadelphia, you're giving up the chance to make your team better, to bring in a quarterback onto a team that is that roster is nowhere near Super Bowl contention. Now, the sick thing is they can still host a home playoff game,
and
right?
that's so, and that is so. This goes back to my ongoing frustration with the Pirates, which so. To me, if you do pull the trigger on this, a couple of things. One is you have to feel very confident and comfortable that Deshaun Watson is that the allegations are not provable,
which I don't think you can be.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in talking with him and others, right? I mean, you have to have some comfort level there, right? Like, you
would hope,
whether or not it's well placed or not. I mean, that would have to be part of the equation. But the other part of it is, to me, then you are saying you are basically going all in and being a playoff team, quote unquote, all in, versus trying to build a championship team, right? Because I do think Deshaun Watson can be a difference maker in terms of, hey, can the Eagles now be a playoff team?
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Their receivers really stink, man. They're really bad.
Who in that division, though, are you saying is with Deshaun Watson as your quarterback, and I'm not saying that it's a guarantee. I mean, I think it's. I think
you could win the division.
I think you could make an argument for all four of those teams that they could win the division this year. I really do. But I don't think you can make. I don't think you can make the argument that any one of the four, no matter how the season plays out, can win a Super Bowl this year. Dallas maybe is the closest, but they're not. I mean, that's not a Super Bowl team. No. Give me a break. But so
look, any one of those four teams would get destroyed by Kansas City. I think they'd lose to the Steelers. We don't know what's going to come out of the AFC East. There's 2 or 3 teams, the Patriots included, that could be competitive coming out of the AFC East. And that's before you even look at beating the best teams in the NFC. Like, I think the ceiling for the NFC East is host and lose a first-round playoff game.
I think you might be able to sneak a win, but yeah, I don't
Depending
see
on who you play.
Yeah, it going beyond that. So that to me is again, if the Eagles do follow through, to me that is signaling that it's about the playoffs for us, not trying to get the ultimate prize.
I get the quarterback's the most important position and everything. I get it.
Sure.
But the team is, it's a mess. The salary cap is not in good position. And again, the looming legal stuff. Like, first of all, do you even want to bring in a player with that kind of baggage? And we don't have time to even get into that. But, I mean, just the asking price. If Houston comes to me and they're trying to sell me Deshaun Watson like he's Deshaun Watson before any of this stuff came out, I'm like, guys, get bent. Like, you're asking me to potentially take on hugely damaged goods. So if you want to move them now, then we're going to talk about a negotiated lower asking price, or y'all can hang on to him and you roll the dice that he's not going to have some kind of major legal implications down the line, and then you can flip them to us or somebody else. But right now, there's no way we're handing you a package of multiple first-round picks plus 1 or 2 starting caliber players for this guy when he might not even be able to play next year to throw to our crappy receivers.
Speaking of damaged goods, we believe the Dear Goon will be back on Tuesday. How's that for a segue? As always, Booch, we appreciate you filling in. Chris Bucanani. I'm Ironhead. The Goon will be back on Tuesday. Until then, be good and be safe.